The Honorable Kalita Forbes entering.
You can all be seated at this time. Welcome to Egypt Court. We are here today to hear the case of Mrs. Potiphar versus Joseph.
Free Joseph! Free Joseph! Free Joseph!
Order in the court.
It's my nephew. My son.
Prosecution, please present your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are gathered here today to expose the truth behind a very, very heinous crime. Today, my client, Mrs. Potiphar, will testify against that man, Joseph, a man who is a known former slave, one who will be worthy of saying and doing anything to improve his lot in life. She will testify beyond reasonable doubt that Joseph attempted to bed her, knowing that she is the wife of his employer. He is, in fact, guilty as charged.
Defense attorney, your opening statement.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is not what it seems. Joseph is a hard-working, virtuous young man, wrongfully accused. We will prove his innocence with evidence that shows Mrs. Potiphar's true motives and the inconsistencies in her account.
Prosecutor, you may now present your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to call my first witness, Mrs. Potiphar.
Shame. 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 Free Joseph. That's my home. Free Joseph.
Mrs. Potiphar, I know this is going to be challenging for you. But if you could, please, tell us what happened on that dreadful day.
Your Honor, I am a loyal wife. I've been faithful to my marriage. I've stood with Potiphar through thick and thin. And on that horrific day, a man we both trusted, we opened our entire home to him. He tried to entice me. He threw himself at me. And now, me, an Egyptian, standing on trial because of a Hebrew? I'm disgusted. And I demand justice be served today.
Thank you, Mrs. Potiphar. That was courageous and brave. No further questions, Your Honor.
Defense attorney, would you like to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please.
Mrs. Potiphar, has Joseph ever tried to inappropriately flirt with you?
Well, see,
Mrs. Potiphar, on the time answer, I'm going to need a yes or no.
Tell the truth, Shannon.
No. Have you ever tried to flirt with Joseph?
I don't recall.
That's no problem. Let me help you. You
Yeah.
could direct your attention.
Receipts.
Is this your residence?
I don't disclose where I live.
Mm.
Hey, Joseph.
Receipts.
I got a duty for you.
Just at you.
Mrs. Potiphar, is this your Instagram handle?
Maybe. I'm not.
Would you just go ahead and read this for me?
It goes down in the DM.
Y'all, guess what I just did? I hope you finally text Joseph. I did? Send him that late night you up text, huh? Am I wild for trying to hook up with him? Nah, girl. All the time. It's never a problem. Can you get yours, sis? Exactly. You blame it for a minute, and now your Lulu has come true.
And Mrs. Potiphar, who were those messages with?
I'm not, it's not even on screen, though. Why Delilah the doll? Jeezy? Jeezy?
And these are your close friends, correct?
I don't know them like that.
All right. No further questions, Your Honor.
Prosecutor, do you have any more for this witness?
None at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
I was happy.
Defense attorney, do you have any witnesses that you would like to call to the stand?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call Miss Jackie Quinn to the stand.
Come on, Jackie. Jackie, a bill.
Thank you for being willing to testify this morning.
Oh, of course.
Is it true that you were present for an exchange between my client and Mrs. Potiphar?
Oh, I was right there for the whole thing.
Please.
Okay, so I was filming a video for my YouTube, subscribe to my channel, y'all. And I was walking down the street, minding my business, y'all, because that's what I would do. And I happened to hear a little scuffle to the right of me, and I turned the camera, and that woman right there was harassing that man right there. She had his clothes, she was practically trying to rip them off of him. She was loose.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn.
Of course, and I'll just say this.
Yeah.
I've seen many men come in and out of that house. You do that, you will.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn. We will now hear your closing arguments, prosecutor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, did the defense attorney present some DMs? Sure. Did she even have some additional evidence? Perhaps. There was a witness. But we have the witness, Mrs. Potiphar herself, who could testify that Joseph was in the house. We have here the physical evidence. And we know for sure that when Joseph entered the home of Mrs. Potiphar, he entered fully clothed. What the defense has failed to do is answer the question, why didn't he leave that way? The prosecution rests.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the footage revealed a different story than the one that Mrs. Potiphar is trying to convince you of. Mrs. Potiphar is the one who initiated the physical contact between herself and Joseph, not the other way around. We have shown DMs exchanged between Mrs. Potiphar and her close friends, discussing her intentions to frame Joseph for her own personal gain, And we've shown her attempts to try to cover that up here this morning. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my client has been wrongfully accused, and Mrs. Potiphar's motives speak louder than her words. We ask for justice to prevail and for my client to be acquitted of all charges. Thank you.
Here you go, sir.
Members of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
Yes, Your Honor. We have found the defendant guilty.
Guilty? After all I've been through, after all I've suffered, have I not suffered enough? My brothers, they hated me because my father loved me, yet God was with me. They stole my cloak and threw me into a deep, dark pit, yet God was with me. They took me out of that same very pit, pulled me out just to sell me into slavery, yet God was with me. They brought me into this foreign land to work for these strangers, and yet even after all of that, God was with me. I found myself